Hey and welcome to the Daily Arsenal News Show. Let's begin with our daily news. Arsenal being very careful with unbelievable ace over a preseason. Reports suggest that Arsenal defender William Saliba is not being rushed back to training during a preseason at this current time. According to the Evening Standard, Arsenal have been boosted by the fact that a fair few of their injured players have returned from training. Saliba is one of these players who is on their way to recovery. He has apparently been back training with the first team group in the preseason. Despite this, he is not fully recovered yet. Due to this, Arsenal are being very careful with the Frenchman in training and are slowly increasing his load following his return to training. The French defender had his first season in the Arsenal senior squad last season and was one of the best players in the squad. The 22-year-old looks like a great centre back and could no doubt be a key player for the Gunners for many seasons, especially now that he has signed a new deal. It was emphasized how crucial he was to the Arsenal squad when he suffered a big injury last season. He missed the last 2 months of the campaign with a back injury, and the form of the team massively dipped without him in the side. The back injury he suffered is what has seen the club lighten his workload for the time being. Hopefully, he will be back to full fitness soon. If Arsenal want to battle again for the title next season and beat Manchester City to first place, then they need Saliba, who was hailed as unbelievable, fully fit. The squad is getting stronger with additions like Kai Havertz, and it will be interesting to see who else signs permanently this summer. Arsenal ace back in first team training following big injury. Arsenal have been given an injury boost ahead of the new season, and one of the players who is close to being back is Mohamed Elneny. Elneny missed a lot of last season due to an injury. He was unavailable for selection since January due to a knee injury which required surgery. According to the Evening Standard, Elneny has been back training with the main Arsenal squad since preseason started. Despite this, out of the injured players in the squad, the defensive midfielder is the furthest away from returning to full match fitness. It's obviously a boost that Arsenal players injured like Elneny are close to returning to full match fitness. The fact that he is able to train a month before the season starts is great news. The Gunners lacked squad depth towards the end of the campaign, and although Elneny is seen as more of a squad player, he could definitely be very useful next season. Arsenal have a lot more fixtures to deal with next season due to the Champions League. With lots of midweek fixtures, Mikel Arteta will need to rotate. The special midfielder is definitely someone who is liked by those at the club, and with him, 31 years old, he can be a level head to help the youngsters at the club. Arteta has a squad full of great talent, but it's a very young squad. Due to this, it's great to have players like Elneny in the squad. It's a big season for Arsenal next campaign. They will have added pressure on them to battle for the Premier League title again, and no doubt fans will want to see them lift a trophy. Journalist says Arsenal will reluctantly sell their outstanding player. Arsenal are reluctant to let Charlie Patino go, but they have made the decision to sell him this summer. That's according to Charles Watts, who has shared on Inside Arsenal how the Gunners feel about losing Patino. It was reported weeks ago that Arsenal were prepared to sell the outstanding player this summer, but according to Watts, this isn't a decision that they have taken lightly. Indeed, the journalist says that Arsenal are somewhat reluctant to let the player go, but in the end, they have decided that it's best for all parties if he does head out the door this summer. Watts shared what he knows about the midfielder. He said, "Not every single young player can make it at Arsenal. Look at someone like Charlie Patino now. You mentioned him there. He had a fantastic loan spell, but there is no pathway there. He doesn't believe that. Arsenal don't really believe that, so the decision has been taken, albeit slightly reluctantly, to sell him this summer. That hasn't happened yet, but I am sure it will." Sadly for Charlie Patino, this is just a case of the right player at the wrong time. For the first time in ages, Arsenal are a settled squad, particularly in the midfield, once the addition of Declan Rice has been confirmed. 22-year-old Arsenal player has been training like a demon recently. Emil Smith-Rowe has been better than ever before in Arsenal training in recent months. That's according to Football London's Kaya Kainak, who shared an update on the midfielder on his YouTube channel. According to Kainak, Smith-Rowe has been absolutely brilliant in training recently. The journalist has heard nothing but positive report about the Englishman, claiming that he is training better than he ever has done before in recent time. Smith Rowe has, of course, struggled for game time as of late, but it sounds as though he is doing all he can to wrestle back a starting spot in this Arsenal side. Kainak shared what he knows about the 22-year-old. He said, "He's been doing really well on the training ground. The stats I hear are really impressive. All the reports are that he is training better than he ever has been before. You can see in pictures he looks leaner and more bulky. He's taken the time to work on his fitness. I have seen suggestion that his attitude isn't right, but that's not what I have heard. He's come back really determined to win this Arsenal starting spot back." After hearing this, we can't help but feel that Smith Rowe deserves a chance to shine at Arsenal. The 22-year-old was starved of opportunities last season, but after impressing in training and a brilliant under-21 European Championship, the youngster deserves another shot under Mikel Arteta. Of course, you shouldn't change a winning formula, but if Arteta can find a way to incorporate Smith Rowe into this Arsenal side, he could make his team even better. Keep an eye on Smith Rowe heading into next season. Arsenal staff have been blown away by 24-year-old in the preseason so far. Kai Havertz is already making his mark at Arsenal. The German has only taken part in a handful of training sessions with his new teammates, but he's already impressing by the sounds of things. Indeed, speaking on his YouTube channel, Football London's Kaya Kainak shared an update on Havertz, and according to the journalist, the 24-year-old is already impressing people on the training ground and showing strong early signs that he could be a star at Arsenal. Kainak shared what he knows about Havertz's early sessions. He said, "Kai has joined up with the team in Nuremberg. He seems to be settling pretty quickly. There is that Jorginho factor helping him settle in, and Jorginho is one of the more vocal members of the dressing room already, despite the fact he only joined in January. It's kind of like if Havertz is alright with Jorginho, he is alright with us. He seems to be settling well. Speaking to people out there, he's really impressing on the training ground. He's showing good signs early doors, but it's looking really positive so far." This is exactly what Arsenal fans will have wanted to hear. Havertz is a player who really needs to hit the ground running if he is to succeed at Arsenal due to the mass competition for places in his position, and it sounds as though he is doing just that. Of course, whether or not these training performances carry over into first team action remains to be seen, but it's never a bad sign to hear that your new signing is smashing it behind the scenes. Havertz could be about to hit a new level at Arsenal. David Ornstein shares Declan Rice update to Arsenal fans late last night. Arsenal fans are frustrated that their club haven't announced the signing of Declan Rice yet. David Ornstein has now shared the latest on the situation. The Gunners went into the market with three key targets: Kai Havertz, Jurriën Timber, and of course Rice. The German has been unveiled, but the two others are still said to be waiting on the wings. Arsenal fans are far from pleased, and there are some concerns that the deal may be in doubt now. Ornstein, however, put all the fears to rest on Sky Sports last night. Arsenal have never been ones to announce transfers very fast, but they really are taking their own sweet time with the Declan Rice and Jurriën Timber deals, aren't they? Reports have claimed for well over a week now that the Gunners have agreed everything to sign the two players. Both of them have even reportedly completed their medicals. An official announcement, however, is nowhere to be found, and reports have emerged that West Ham are not too pleased with the delay. Arsenal fans have been really worried since. but Ornstein has told all of them to sit back and relax because this deal is done. He said, "My understanding is pretty much everything is done and dusted for Arsenal fans. There is nothing to be concerned about. They are committing a record fee, £100 million plus £5 million in add ons. The announcement can take time on a deal of this magnitude. There is a lot to work through on various sides of the deal, but to my knowledge, it's on a track and they will get the final stages done. Then everyone will get this announcement they have been waiting for in due course." Ornstein has spoken, and Arsenal fans can breathe a sigh of relief now. It always did feel like a done deal, but the delay isn't just unusual, and Gunners had every reason to be concerned about what could possibly happen. Thankfully for them, everything is in place, and it will likely be announced at some point before the end of this week. If all goes to plan, Rice should be involved when Arsenal take on the MLS All-Stars in the United States next week. Arsenal really like very exciting attacker. Keep an eye on, says a journalist. Arsenal remain huge admirers of Musa Diabi. That's according to Charles Watts, who has been speaking on Inside Arsenal about the French winger. The journalist was hosting a Q&A session and inevitably he was asked all sorts of questions about exciting talents from across Europe. According to Watts, Diaby is someone to keep an eye on, leaving Bayer Leverkusen towards the end of this transfer window, with the Gunners said to be big fans of the Bundesliga star. Watts shared what he knows about the Frenchman. He said, "Michael Ollis is a very exciting player, someone I really do like. I don't think he will be leaving Palace this summer. Musa Diaby will be someone to keep an eye on as the window progresses in terms of if he will stay or go. A number of clubs are taking a look at him. He is a player Arsenal do like, have watched a lot over the last couple of years. They haven't made a move yet, but who knows? This would be an expensive signing, but it would also be an incredibly exciting one too. Diaby has been ripping up the Bundesliga over the past 2 years, and you have to say that his skill set is incredibly well suited to the Premier League. Ranked as one of the fastest players in Europe by the Speeds database, he is even faster than Mo Salah. He would terrorize defenses in England and in Mikel Arteta's system as a right winger, cutting onto his left foot. Diaby would be dangerous to say the least. Of course, after spending so much already, Arsenal may not be able to get this deal done, but if there are a few high profile outgoings, perhaps there could be some life in this one. Journalists would be stunned if Arsenal signed incredible player now. Aurelien Chouamini has been linked to Arsenal in recent weeks, and we can't help but view these rumors with raised eyebrows. Indeed, while Chouamini to Arsenal isn't the most outrageous rumor we have ever heard, it would be a mammoth signing in a window in which the Gunners are already on course to spend in excess of £200 million on Declan Rice, Kai Havertz, and Julian Timber. Speaking on Inside Arsenal, Charles Watts was asked about the Chouamini links to Arsenal, and sadly, he poured cold water on this rumor, claiming that he would be very surprised if this was a deal that indeed go ahead. Watts shared his verdict on the incredible midfielder. He said, "No, I don't. I have to say I'd be very surprised if that happened, but football can be crazy. I never would have predicted at the start of the window that Arsenal would sign Kai Havertz, but they did. I would be very doubtful that Real Madrid would let him go or that Arsenal would be able to afford him anyway. Let's be real, this one never looked that likely, did it? With Rice, Havertz, and Timber seemingly on board, Arsenal's spending is already way up there in terms of the biggest we have seen in Premier League history, and another huge outlay on Chouamini was unrealistic. That isn't to say that Arsenal don't have one more big signing in them, but it's hard to picture their next marquee addition being another midfielder after landing both Rice and Havertz, who can play in those central roles. Chouamini may well be admired by Arsenal, but it's tough to see this one getting done anytime soon. I will be uploading daily Arsenal news, so keep your eyes on the channel. And don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate your support. Peace out.